Hello and welcome to Beliminal Ask the Expert. Today I'm going to be interviewing Tom Reynolds and we're going to be talking about some common Agile myths. Okay Tom, let's talk about some common Agile myths that we hear a lot in the industry. So one of the very common things that I certainly hear a lot is that there's just basically no planning in Agile.
Yeah, that's really interesting. People used to say, many years ago I used to hear the same thing, was we're Agile, we just get on and do stuff. You know, that isn't actually true. If you look at the Scrum framework, it's full of planning. And in actual fact, probably far more planning than in traditional waterfall projects. So I'll just look at the framework by itself. We plan at the beginning of the sprint, which is called sprint planning, up to potentially 8 hours for a 4-week sprint. Every single day we do our daily Scrum. The team are planning and aligning around their progress towards a sprint goal. They do that every single day, and they're identifying impediments which is holding them back from delivering their forecast or their plan. At the end of each sprint, we do a sprint review. The sprint review inspects and adapts what we've built, and it gives us ideas for how we're going to move forward, and allows us to alter our plan going forward. So we're constantly planning in Scrum. Sprint planning, with daily Scrum, with sprint review. And if you take it even wider than that, perhaps if you're doing release type planning, you're also planning longer horizons over the releases. So we're planning constantly in the daily Scrum, and it's a development team along with a product owner that are planning together, facilitated with a Scrum Master. So it's a constant process of planning through the Scrum framework.
Thanks for that, Tom. So it sounds like there's a fair amount of planning going on. So interesting, another common thing that you hear, and I think probably this comes from people reading the Agile Manifesto, but of course it says in the Agile Manifesto something about having working software over comprehensive documentation. And I've had a lot of pushback from people saying, well, that means that we don't have to do documentation. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I think that's not true. You're quite right. The Agile Manifesto itself says working software over comprehensive documentation. It says over. It doesn't say instead of or without. What's important is we produce just enough documentation. The documentation is a means to producing our working product. So produce just enough. So if we can do a design on a sheet of flipchart paper, sketch it out and take a photograph, if that's all that we need, then that's great, that's all that we need. However, if we're in a heavily regulated environment and we need to produce regulatory documentation, then of course we must do so to meet our regulatory commitments. So whatever it is we need to do to help us build our working product, do just enough of it. And should we need to do documentation as user documentation, which is quite legitimate if that forms part of your working product, incorporate that in your definition of done. So do just enough. Don't fill out, however, a 50-page template technical design document if a 1-page document or a sketch on a flip chart will work for your needs.
Okay, so no documentation for documentation's sake, and be sure you know why you're documenting stuff.
Absolutely right. Understand the value of it, question the value of it, ask yourself, do I need all of this documentation and produce just enough for your needs of producing your working product, whether that's a software product or any other product for that matter.
And I guess, so this leads on to this, another bit of pushback I get from analysts, I guess, which is that we don't do any analysis when we're doing Agile software development. What's your thinking about that?
Yeah, again, we do lots of analysis and do software development in Agile. We might do it in a very different way. We might break things down into smaller chunks if we're using user stories, have very thin slices through our application stack. We're absolutely still doing analysis. We have something called product backlog refinement in Scrum. Product backlog refinement is the activity of understanding the needs of our customers and our users. So therefore, that's analysis. As we're working through and we're adding acceptance criteria, we're having a divergent conversation and converging the potential solution, that's analysis. We're working in sprint planning and understanding and doing analysis part of sprint planning. And every single day during our sprint, we're doing small bits of analysis every single day as we iterate towards our solution. So we're absolutely doing analysis. As I say, we're doing it very differently. We're not doing it all up front in one big go, we're doing it in small bite sizes and vertical slices through our application stack.
Okay, that's great, thanks. So the flip side of that, I suppose, is that you might get some people who believe that actually, an agile approach to software development is going to be some kind of silver bullet. It's going to solve all of their problems. What kind of stance do you take on that? Where do you sit on that?
Yeah, that's quite easy. No, it's not. It is not a silver bullet whatsoever. In actual fact, Agile is not easy. It's not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems overnight. Far from it. Scrum in itself is a framework which will very rapidly surface impediments, team impediments, organisational impediments, very quickly surface them and make them highly visible. And then the difficulty comes, are you willing to challenge them? Are you willing to take them on? Are you willing to sort those problems out? So it's not easy to sort those problems. It could be organisational impediments, team impediments, it could be cultural issues. So they're not easy to resolve or deal with, and it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems overnight. If that's what you think Agile is going to do from you or for you, then unfortunately you're going to be very, very disappointed if you think that's the case.
Yeah, I can imagine. So that's interesting, Tom. I think another area that people have some concerns around, given that in traditional, well, we'll call it traditional software development, but to be honest, I haven't seen people doing waterfall for a long time, but it used to be that we had a testing phase, a very specific testing phase, right, in order that we produce quality software. So a lot of people would level a complaint at Agile and say, well, given that you don't have a testing phase at the end, you're just producing poor quality code. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I can understand why people may think that. But from my experience, the highest quality products and projects I've ever been involved with have been Agile projects. A number of examples of working in software houses where they've been as a third-party client and companies with a third-party client, they've hired independent test companies to test our sprints. And in many sprints, these independent test companies finding 0 defects. Over a 6-month project I was involved with, independent companies finding no more than 20 to 30 defects. That's high quality software development. That didn't come easy. It didn't come for no cost. We had to invest in practices, XP engineering practices, so test-driven development, automation, high levels of rapid continuous integration, continuous deployment in test environments. And then everybody in the team has whole team accountability for the high delivery quality software we produce in each and every sprint. And if you have whole team accountability, everybody understands that quality is of utmost importance, then you can produce really, really high quality software. But of course, to do that, you need XP practices, pair programming, test-driven development, continuous integration, acceptance test-driven development, unit testing, all sorts of automated testing. But by all means, you can produce high quality application out of Scrum and any sprint we deliver.
So it sounds to me, Tom, that you're talking about bringing the testing phase out of the end of the process where it might be too late to catch any problems, and bringing it up front almost to make sure that you don't create any problems in the first place. If obviously there's going to be a few problems along the way, but you're bringing it up earlier in the process.
Absolutely. Testing in a sprint can start on day one. Now, it could be testers in your team or any other development team member working on test scripts, working on scenarios, starting to build an environment to run tests. Your definition of done, many teams are working with a definition of done. One of our elements in there is often no known defects. So we have a policy where we don't allow defects to escape the sprint. That is a false economy. You only have to fix them later on. The later you get from the point of finding a defect to fixing a defect, the more costly it is. And as you're going along, you might be irritating and annoying your customers with your poor quality anyway. So let's be professional, let's build high quality software, fix defects we find in every single sprint, and don't knowingly allow defects to escape the sprint.
Great, thanks for that, Tom. So just to recap then, plenty of planning in your Agile process.
Absolutely.
Just enough documentation. Yeah. Analysis by refinement and analysis during your sprints and throughout your flow process. It's definitely not a silver bullet, it's going to be hard work. I mean, there is no silver bullet essentially. And there's a huge focus on quality.
Absolutely.
I think in Scrum we talk about being done, about having a potentially shippable product increment, right? So I guess that's another kind of way of underlining it. So thanks for that, Tom, and if we hear about any more myths, I'm sure you'll be there to help us bust them.
That's great, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching our interview today. You can always check out our website, sign up to our newsletter, and you can also follow us on social media.